Hey everybody, this is Norm. I'm going to walk through the process of compiling the LabVIEW Community Training Initiative firmware. So I'm a LabVIEW developer. I don't really know that much about programming firmware, doing things, but we have a really easy way of, I'm going to even showcase prototyping, even just trying to showcase how to, let me back in the microphone office here, just even prototyping how to play with the microcontroller code in the simplest steps forward, presuming you only know about LabVIEW. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to open up and load something called Windows Sandbox. So if you don't already have this installed, this is like a Windows feature that you can install via Windows. Once again, sorry for everybody out there that does Linux stuff, but if you just type in Sandbox, if it's not already on your computer, I think it will ask you, do you want to install Windows Sandbox? There's a variety of videos out there on the internet talking about Windows Sandbox. Usually it's a matter of like, hey, if you want to open a file from somebody else and you don't know if it's going to mess up your computer, if it's a virus or anything else, the Windows Sandbox is a safe way to do it. But what it does and what's going to happen here momentarily is it will boot up a full version of Windows with very little effort. So what we're going to do once Windows is open, we're going to run VS Code. So we'll go out, we'll install VS Code. Happens relatively quickly. We're going to go ahead and do the Pico plugin. Plug in. That will allow Visual Studio Code to go ahead and actually compile directly. And from there, there's only a few other things we need to get from it. You need to install Git, or it's helpful if you install Git on the computer because Git and VS Code will work together very seamlessly. The Pico plugin requires Python. So for whatever reason it does, so we'll go ahead and we'll get a version of Python installed. And I can't remember what else was from there. I think it's, you do that, you pull the repo. Well, we're going to see what else it is, but these are the big ones that you start with, and that'll get you pretty far. I think the only other part is let's just find out real quick. But those 4 steps is predominantly what we're going to need in here. Yeah, we'll find out if I was wrong in just a moment. So let's go ahead, and I'm in the Windows Sandbox. You can see it's a whole basically virtual machine on the system here. Edge is going to open up here in a moment. And keep in mind that the moment that you close the sandbox, it's not a real virtual machine that saves on your computer. It's temporary. It disappears the moment that you hit the X in the upper right-hand corner of the whole sandbox. But I'll do VS Code. Let's do it. I got a VS Code. There we go. Derp. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and download Visual Studio Code. It's going to be on my system. Get it for Windows. Download? Did it not do it? X64. Let's see what happens. There we go. Now we're downloading. Perfect. All right, so going to go ahead and open up VS Code. Most of the stuff, I'm just going to use the default settings. Windows Sandbox is going to bark at you because the user installer and you're logged in as an administrator in the sandbox. Don't worry about it, at least not for what I'm going to show you here today. So it's going to go ahead and do the installation, VS Code. I'm going to allow those 2 options. It's just adding Windows Explorer context menus, run and install. While that's installing, I know I'm going to have to go off and get Python. Once again, this is not for the LabVIEW CTI, it's for the Pico compiler plugin. So we're going to go ahead and get that from here. Let's go ahead and standalone installer. There we go. There's Python. And one thing to note, always add it to the path in a situation like this where you don't know what's going to happen. I think there's a whole bunch of reasons not to install it to path if you've got multiple different versions of Python, or you want to be really prescriptive of what the system path is. For what we're doing today, put it in the path. It's probably going to make everything go smoother. The other one that's going to come up is Git, because we're going to go ahead and let VS Code interface directly to the repo for Git. So I'm just going to go ahead and, can I download? What's going to do here? I'm going to get the Git install for Windows. Fabulous. Click here to download. All right, that's going. Open the file. We'll see what happens there. All right, so that's installing. Launch Visual Studio Code. Fantastic. We're going to go ahead and get that as well. We're not going to worry about the user scope that you can see down here in the bottom right-hand corner. First up, like I said, we're going to go to the extensions. I'm going to go ahead and get the Pico. Just type in Pico. First thing, officially VS Code extension. Fantastic. Thank you, Pico. I'm going to go ahead and trust the publishers and install. That should happen relatively seamlessly. There will be other things that will say, do you want to install this shortly? but we're going to go ahead and let things continue forward. All right, setup was successful. Fantastic. Close Python. Git has been installed, I think, right? Did we run that already? No, the Git installer has not run. Just allowing permissions here. Where's my downloads? Let's go ahead and get Git installed. Is that opening? I'm trying to open it there. There we go. Now we're installing. Oh, we got like 4 copies of Git installing. Hold on. Cancel. 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 Lovely. All right. Now we're going to go through. Yep. All the defaults. That's A-OK. None of this is critical to the short term. What we're going to do here, if you've already got it on your system, this shouldn't be necessary. All the better, right? VS Code should know that you have it installed. So if you run into any problems, if you don't install Python, VS Code's going to yell at you. It tells you need to install it. Here, it's going to say download Git for Windows. So that is hey, it detected you don't have it installed. You can click this. It opens up the web page. Voila. I'm going to go ahead and open up let me see if I can get no, not the pendulum. Let's see if I can get the CTI firmware. There you go. So I am looking at this website here for the Community Training Initiative firmware. We've got that. I'm going to take that path all together. I'm going to reload because I think, well, let's see if Git's done. Hey, Git is done. I don't want to see the release notes. I'm going to reload. Voila, we have source code. I'm going to clone the repository. I'm going to put that up here. It says like, hey, go ahead and put that in. Hit the enter key. It starts to download things. Let's see what we've got down here. Disables our updates because you're running user scope. Yeah, I don't care about that. The way that I like to save my things is I will put a directory just called SCC for source code control, and then I'll put all my repos underneath there. Fabulous. So it's going and cloning that down. Do I want to open the repository? Yes, absolutely. Let's go ahead and open it. Cool. Yes, I trust the authors of the Community Training Initiative. We are all the owners of it, right? All right, so there you go. So now it's saying downloading and installing the Pico SDK as selected. So if you did, there you go. Python 3 was not found. Please install Python 3. Wait a minute. We just installed Python. So things didn't work out right. Now, here's a couple different things. It's because it wasn't installed when I opened up VS Code the first time. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to let this system, we're going to go through and let it install the extensions because the repo that has been set up wants very specific extensions that luckily VS Code automatically does that. No, I do not want a pre-release version of the C++. It's recommended that you reconfigure after upgrading to new kits. Don't want to configure it. I don't even know what that means, so I'm not going to touch it. So at this point in time, I think we're ready to go. But what we need to do is close because VS Code doesn't think that Python's installed and other things are installed. So basically, now that we've got those things, we're going to go through and open up, VS Code, Visual Studio Code. It should open again, and I think it will try to open up the old project it did. I don't care about disabling updates. That's fine. And boom, you can already see that down here in the bottom section that it is. Let me see if I can highlight this here. So where are we at? Oh, it's not going to let me. There we go. It's already downloading and installing things for the Pico SDK. It's already kind of preparing our environment to build. So this is great, right? I'm a LabVIEW developer. I don't understand Make and CMake. However, you probably should not really understand how to do it, but understand the relationship, because apparently that's one of these things as LabVIEW developers that we get to take advantage of, is not needing to understand all of these build tool chains just to get something done. However, that apparently is pretty par for the course when it comes down to other people doing text-based languages, which is why I think LabVIEW won the day for so long, because it was relatively difficult to get your environment set up to do just to get to a build versus, you got to wait for things to install for the NI software. But when it's installed, crap, it just does the job. All right, so downloading, installing, looks like Pico tools, everything is downloading and installing. This is absolutely phenomenal. Installing CMake. There's that CMake that I was talking about a little bit earlier. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner. So it says searching for Python. We already installed it. It looks like it might be installing it again. I can't say why it's doing it again, but this is probably the one that takes about the most. So while it's doing that, I'm going to show you that this is basically our directory that we're working with here on disk. And you can see there's no build directory that exists yet. And when that build directory, that's where we're going to look for our .uf2 file that will show up. Now, the other thing to note about how this is structured, other than the build directory, is that at some point in time when things are ready to go, we're going to go ahead and not pretty much, but exactly just run compile project. And by doing so, that will actually give us the output. That will give us a valid brand new .uf2. For those of you who know CMake and the build process, of course, you might want to clean CMake. I think you do that between builds, or if you change your source code or lots of other things. CMake prepares your environment to do the actual build. And so I think that's what you do the clean for in between. But in all of those instances, for what we're doing, compile. That's all we're going to do to go ahead and get this. There you go, configuring CMake. So we are on the other side of the whatever Python thing it needed. I'm going to go back to the files up here. You can see that now there is actually a build directory, and it's continuing to put more content in there as it kind of pre-compiles the environment, the best way that I can put it for the moment, to go ahead and do it. I don't know what's going on down here. It looks like it's running. Run compile project, run project. Okay, so we're waiting. So it's configuring CMake. Once again, all of the things in CMake are, it's a scripting language for the purpose of setting up your development environment to build for a specific target. I think that's the best way to put it. Find the YouTube videos. They're going to say it better than I ever did. But right at this point in time, if I go back to files, there you go. You can see we've got a bunch of stuff now here existing all in the whole CMake and build portion files that didn't exist there before. This was all just generated based off of the tool chain that we've got. So that's great. That made, I wouldn't even want to try to begin to figure out how to make this exist in the first place. But we've got it, which is great. And so the next step is, once again, go to that little thing that looks like a Raspberry Pi. Whoa, right there. Looks like a Raspberry Pi right there. Not that thing that looks like a Raspberry, but the Pico, sorry. Go to the Pico and compile project. And if everything goes well, if you installed things, if you restarted Visual Studio Code, at that point in time, now you've got an environment for which you can start to build. It doesn't take that long. And keep in mind, I'm running basically this is a virtual machine on the computer that I've got, and it does the job. So at this point in time, while it's still building here, we can watch it. You can see in the bottom section right here that it's going to do the building. So we'll know when it's done. But let's go ahead and look around where the code is. So basically in the source itself, you've got your main.cpp, right? If we were to scroll down here, right, we're going to go ahead and maximize that, right? It basically goes through and it starts to, looks like it blinks the status LED, it runs a loop and it's set up. And then at some point in time, if there's no errors, it goes into main loop, or it executes main loop. In order to figure out where all that is, you've got you've got the platform, right? You can kind of walk through all of the C++ code that's been made for us. That makes everything easy. Of course, if you wanted to know what happens in setup, we can always right click and go to definition, and hey, there's the code that happens in setup. It looks like it, outputs serial version X, Y, or Z, so on and so forth. So you can learn about the firmware, maybe how to create your own or modify it. You can get into how it does the Visa portion of it, or how it does the Skippy parsing. All of these different things are, elegantly crafted code that help us get, where's that? Get here, you scroll. No, it's not going to let me zoom. That's strange. In any case, you can even see what it does when it reads from the analog port, right? We can get through all of this and figure out how the firmware works for those of us who are not classically trained or well-informed firmware editors. But this allows you to make your own. And when this is done, it looks like the build is complete. I can go to the build process or the build directory. I don't want breakpoints. Get rid of those. There we go. And you can see we have our brand new spanking .uf2 according to the base image. And so that's probably your best first bet of get the raw code, make sure that builds before you monkey around, and then experiment. It's in Git. It's in source code control. Reach out. Let's see if we can crowdsource, as this is intended to be firmware for our beloved CTI image for the Raspberry Pi Pico. Interestingly enough, there actually is another, it's going to show us here, repos. There is a different branch for working with the wireless. I wonder if it can show all items. Fetch, push, views tree. No. In any case, we'll do this views list. There is some new ones that are part of the different branch here. Is it going to show main Pico W? There you go. There's a whole new branch for compiling for the Pico W so that you can connect to your Pico wirelessly, which is also has very interesting workflows that are enabled. So once again, there's two different, there's the main branch that we're on right now. There's a one for the Pico W, and other ones might exist, but this got you. And if I were to go back to files, .uf2, reveal in File Explorer, and voila, there we go. I've got my UF2 that we could copy and paste, put onto the Pico, and run from there. And hopefully that got you where you needed to go, other than give me the UF2 and go away. This will get you the ability to go ahead and get the building optional on your system, the ability to get your own UF2 on your own system and modify it as necessary. And we'll go from there. Thanks.